What if I'm telling you that you have the total control and power on your life? You have the total control and power to change the reality you're living in right now. It takes few shifts, it takes a little bit of changes, and you can change the reality you're living in right now. Before we start, I want to introduce myself. My name is Angel. I'm a fashion designer, spiritual coach, and Reiki practitioner. And my mission in here is literally to post a weekly video where people can start to understand that it's very easy, actually, with few changes in their daily life, to shift the reality they're living in to achieving a better life. You need to understand that to change the reality that you're living in, you need to stop playing small. You need to stop to hide. You need to stop to live in survival mode. Because at the moment, all you're doing is just living small. Think about it. We only have one life. And it's your duty to live that life fully. So stop pretending that you're not worthy of more. Think about it. When you stop to identify yourself with the reality you're living in, that's when the changes are starting. But you might ask, okay, but how do I recognize the reality I'm living in? Well, as I explained in a few videos before, start to observe yourself. Start to pause and observe your surrounding. Start to observe patterns. Start to look for these details. Remember, one important thing that actually, I don't want to say is a mantra, but it's a saying that always, let's say, remembers me how it works. And it's the sentence that goes, as above, so below, as below, so above. And think about it. If you think about this sentence, what does it mean? That what we are is what surrounds us, and vice versa. What is around us is who we are. Means that actually we are the creator of the reality we're living in. The reality we're living in is basically the projection of who we actually are. Quite often we end up in situations that actually they are not really pleasing us, they're not serving us in the way they should, yet we do still push and push because for some weird reason, maybe society has told us that that's what we need to do, our family maybe, our parents have told us that to live like a fulfilled life you need to do this and blah blah blah, you need to be this person or whatever, so you keep pushing and pushing and pushing. But what happened is that by pushing you reach the point where you start to break down. So you're going through phases of like resentment, perhaps, hate, and all of these emotions, all these heavy emotions. They're emotions that actually vibrate very low. By vibrating very low, you can't attract anything good in your life. You will keep being stuck in this loop. You will be keep stuck in this cycle, because once again, what's around you is who you internally are. So what happened is that when you start to go through all those emotions and stuff, you will reach the point when you burn out. And when you burn out, that actually is your opportunity to change. So a lot of people, they think like the burnouts are actually very bad things. Yes, okay, physically and mentally probably they are, because obviously it's a lot. Like you've been accumulating a lot of like those heavy emotion, those heavy feeling, and you reach the point where you explode. Which, fair enough, once again, I do give credit to that. It is kind of heavy, it is kind of unpleasant. However, start to see the thing in a different way. That's an opportunity. Because think about it, every time you burn out is when you reach the point, is when you've been pushing too much, a situation that doesn't serve you, is when you've been pushing too much patterns that are not serving you anymore. So take that as an opportunity to stop, pause, and reflect. what actually you need to change there to break this cycle, what actually you need to shift so that you can start to change those emotions in more positive emotions, and therefore you can start to vibrate higher, therefore you can start to attract better things in your life, therefore you can start to live a better life. Like, honestly, think about this. Life is almost like a cycle. Sometimes, like, things are happening again and again and again. It's the same exact pattern till you break it. It might change like few details. It might change like, I don't know, the person. It might change the situation, but it's the same exact pattern. And when you realize, when you start to see that pattern, that's when you can choose to change it. And when you change it, once again, is when you start to align on what you actually really want. And by doing that, you start to live your life fully in a more positive way. So sometimes, let's say, those patterns, they feel like very heavy to change. Some situations, they feel very heavy to break through, but it's just because you need to understand that sometimes the best thing to do for others and for you is to let go. You need to start to understand to let go things, let go situations, and don't, because I think there is this misunderstanding about letting go. It's not just about, like, not having that person, not having those experiences with that person, not having that materialistic thing or whatever it is. It's more about, if I let go, I give space to better to come. So don't think about letting go as a loss. Think about it as, I'm doing it to give space to something better to come in my life. So my suggestion is, because obviously at this point I think that a valid question will rise probably in this, like, yeah, but how do I know what reality serves me? What is the reality that makes me happy, who I am or whatever? So I would probably suggest, take a moment. Take a moment to really dive deep into yourself and actually ask yourself, who am I? Who am I? If I could live one day as the person that I envision in my mind, what that person would look like, what that person would do, what that person would feel. Take all the time you need to think about this, to feel actually those emotions, and to feel what probably that person that you have in your mind will feel like. And then once that is clear, once that whole, let's say, vision about this person, that at the end of the day is just you existing in another reality. Because think about it, if you can picture it, it's because that person already exists. You need just to step into that reality. So think about that person and start to act like that person, because once again, that person already exists. You need just to step into that person. Is already you, but in another reality. So my question is, do you want to live your life consciously or unconsciously? You might ask, yeah, but what's actually the difference between them? The person that lives in a unconscious mind is a person that let all the external factor lead their life. You almost live your life in a meaningless way. You're living with this victim mentality. Everything is happening to me. Life is happening to me. Everything is terrible. Once again, this mentality is a mentality of someone that lives in very low vibration. And we do know, because it's basic knowledge, that if you want to manifest and attract better things, you need to rise up your vibration. You need to live in a very high frequency of love, of gratitude, of happiness. to attract more of that. And it's kind of sad because someone that lives in an unconscious mind is someone that is so scared, is so scared to receive, is so scared to let go, is so scared to trust and believe that they can have better. So you really need to work on that, because that's technically almost like a self-worth issue that you have. And let me ask you something. What actually stops you to believe that you're worth receiving? You already received something amazing, which is a life. You are here every single day. Your heart doesn't stop and never stopped since you were born. Your lungs are keep breathing. You have a job, yeah, okay, might not be the job of your dream, but you're able to pay your rent, you're able to live a life. Maybe, okay, you're living like, I don't know, in a not very abundant way. But that's just because you need to start to be grateful for what actually you already have in your life. And start to believe that you're worth of more. Think this way. Every action has the reaction. So every single thought that you put out there about your worth, about what you can have or what you can have, has a consequence, has a reaction. So if you start to think, my job is shit, I'm not getting paid enough, I'm not living in an abundant way, what do you think you're attracting? What do you think is the consequence of those very low frequency thoughts? You keep attracting that. Because in a weird way, that's what you're most focused at the moment. And we know how the universe works. It gives you what you're most focused on. So start to shift that. Start to shift that mentality so that you can focus on more positive things and attract more positive things. You don't need to have them to be grateful. You need to be grateful of what you already have and not what you could have, because what you could have is all a plus, is all an extra that you deserve anyway. Remember one important thing, and I think I mentioned already in this video, but the external reality that you're living in is the reflection of who you are inside. I think that one important suggestion actually I can give is like, when you start to see that like you're surrounded by all of this, let's say, terrible events or whatever you want to call it, don't focus on that. What you should focus actually is, what are my internal beliefs that actually I need to change because I'm reflecting that. I've always said before that perhaps the external reality is the reflection of inside. Start to think about that. What actually are my beliefs that I need to change so that my external reality can change? Because once again, if you're living in this way, it's because what's inside you is something that you have to change. And how would you change that? By observing yourself, by doing this introspective kind of journey. When you explore who you are, what's your values, what's your beliefs, what actually are those beliefs that you carry on because they thought, they told you that those are the right things. But are they actually right for you? Do they align with you or not? And look, on the other hand, who lives in a conscious mind is actually the person that is aware of this. Is a person that is aware that what's around is what they create. Is a person that is more aware of who they are and what they need to change, and that all the changes that they make, they have a consequence. So they do this with a more wise mind. They do this consciously. They choosing is a choice. You choose to change your reality. You choose to change your beliefs so that your reality can change. Let me actually give you an example. If you live in scarcity, okay, don't you think that actually you're not receiving money, you're not receiving attention, you're not receiving anything really? The reality is not that there is something wrong, there is something, I don't know, you need to change job or whatever. What maybe you need to change is your beliefs that you're not worth it. If you yourself believe that you're not worth it, how do you want to receive? How do you want to attract beautiful things in your life? One of the most important universal law, it says nothing changes until you do. The shift is always internal first. Same as with darling. Once again, start to explore yourself. Start to do things that will lead you to know yourself more. Start to connect with yourself more and start to listen to yourself more. In the past video that I made, I actually gave 3 habits that they really can help you with this. So I will probably attach it here somewhere so that you can have a look and start maybe this journey in exploring yourself more. Because once you start to know yourself more, once you start to actually be more aware of what your values are, what your beliefs are, what actually are the changes that you can make, you can start to live your life fully the way you want. And stop believing that you need, I don't know, to be this person because your parents told you. You need to be this one because society tells you to be this. You can be whoever you want. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and once again I really hope that actually we will take something positive out of it and you can start to change your life now, today. Send you lots of love. See you in the next video.